The German shepherd lunged backward, not toward the suspect, away from him. Officer Marcus Webb's command died in his throat. Diesel, his canine partner of 4 years, the dog who'd never disobeyed a single order, planted his paws on the cracked asphalt and refused to move. The overhead streetlight flickered orange against the November rain. 3:47 a.m. Route 34, just outside the abandoned Riverside Industrial Complex. "Diesel, heel!" Webb's voice cracked with frustration. The dog's ears pinned flat against his head. His tail dropped between his legs. This wasn't aggression. This was fear. Behind Webb, Sergeant Morrison's radio crackled with urgency. "Webb, we need that vehicle cleared now. Backup's 10 minutes out." The suspect, a thin man in his 20s, hands zip-tied behind his back, sat motionless on the wet curb. The silver Honda Civic's trunk gaped open, empty, clean, nothing suspicious. Diesel whined, high-pitched, desperate. Then he did something Webb had never seen in 15 years of canine work. The dog backed up 5 steps, sat down, and stared at his handler with eyes that screamed one message: "Don't go near that car." Webb's hand hovered over his radio. His career flashed before his eyes. 3 weeks ago, another canine officer in the county got fired after his dog bit a civilian during a false positive. The department was watching, waiting for any excuse to cut the canine program budget. What was Diesel trying to tell him? 6 hours earlier, Diesel's claws clicked against the concrete floor of the canine training facility. The 4-year-old German shepherd moved through the obstacle course with mechanical precision. Over the wall, through the tunnel, around the cones. His black and tan coat gleamed under the fluorescent lights. 13 seconds, Officer Marcus Webb called out, clicking the stopwatch. "New record, boy." Diesel trotted back, tongue lolling happily. Webb scratched behind his ears. This dog had one specialty that set him apart from every other canine in the department: vapor detection. While other dogs found drugs or explosives after deployment, Diesel could detect airborne chemical signatures from distances up to 50 yards. The state police had requested him twice for hazmat situations. Webb clipped the leash to Diesel's collar. At 42, Webb carried the weight of 18 years on the force, 16 as a patrol officer, 2 in canine. His last partner retired with honors. This partnership needed to do the same. The Department Review Board met in 3 weeks to decide the canine program's fate. Every call mattered. Every alert had to be perfect. "Webb!" Officer Jenny Ramirez jogged across the training yard, her breath visible in the cold air. "Morrison wants you on patrol tonight, Route 34 corridor." "The industrial zone?" Webb frowned. "That's usually 3rd shift." "Cover for Patterson. He called in sick." Ramirez hesitated. "There's been some weird activity out there. Homeless camps, maybe drug labs. Morrison wants a canine sweep." Diesel's head turned toward the exit. His nostrils flared slightly, testing the air. Webb noticed but dismissed it. The dog always got excited before patrol. Inside the locker room, Webb pulled on his vest. His phone buzzed. A text from his daughter. "Good luck tonight, Dad. Mia's soccer game is Saturday. You promised." He had promised. Just like he'd promised last month before missing her birthday for a stakeout. "I'll be there," he typed back. Sergeant Bill Morrison appeared in the doorway. 58, gray crew cut, 30 years on the force. "Webb, quick briefing. We've had 3 abandoned vehicle reports on Route 34 this week, all near the old industrial complex. County thinks it might be connected to those cargo thefts. You want us to check it out? Patrol and observe. If Diesel alerts to anything, call it in before you engage." Morrison's eyes narrowed. The chief's watching our unit closely. No cowboy moves. Understood, sir. At 9:47 p.m., Webb loaded Diesel into the patrol SUV. The dog settled into his compartment, but his eyes stayed fixed on the windshield. Alert. Watching. Dispatcher Sarah Chen's voice came through the radio. Unit 7 King 2, routine patrol Route 34. Check in every 30 minutes. Copy that, dispatch. The November night swallowed the SUV as Webb headed west. Diesel shifted in his compartment. Once. Twice. His breathing changed, shorter, more controlled. Webb glanced in the rearview mirror. You good back there, boy? Diesel's reflection showed ears rotating forward, listening to something Webb couldn't hear. The patrol SUV's headlights carved tunnels through the darkness. Route 34 stretched empty. 2 lanes of cracked asphalt bordered by abandoned warehouses and overgrown lots. Rain started at 10:15 p.m., light at first, then steady. All units, we have a 1038 on Route 34, near mile marker 47. Silver Honda Civic, plates running through system now. Webb pressed the radio. Unit 7 King 2, I'm 2 miles from that location. Copy, 7 King 2, possible stolen vehicle, approach with caution. Behind him, Diesel stood up in his compartment. His claws scraped against the metal floor. Not excited. Tense. Webb checked the mirror. Easy, partner. The dog's nose pressed against the metal grate separating them. His breathing came faster now. Not panting, but controlled inhales, sampling the air even inside the vehicle. Webb's mind drifted to a case from 8 months ago. A warehouse fire. Diesel had alerted to accelerant before the arson investigator even arrived. The dog's nose was never wrong. But sometimes Webb wondered if he relied on it too much. His ex-wife used to say he trusted the dog more than people. Maybe she was right. The rain intensified. Webb's wipers struggled to keep up. Through the downpour, red taillights materialized. A car pulled onto the shoulder, hazards flashing. Silver Honda Civic. Webb slowed the SUV, positioned it 30 feet back at an angle. Standard approach. He activated his lights. Blue and red strobed across the wet pavement. Before Webb could radio in, Diesel barked. Not his alert bark, not his aggressive bark, something else. Warning. Quiet, Webb commanded. The dog barked again. Sharp, insistent. Webb grabbed his radio. Dispatch, 7 King 2 is 1097 at Route 34, mile marker 47. Silver Honda Civic, 1 occupant visible. Copy. Backup en route. ETA 12 minutes. 12 minutes. Webb had made 1,000 traffic stops. Most were routine. He didn't need backup for this. He stepped out into the rain. Cold water soaked through his uniform immediately. His flashlight beams swept the Honda. No damage. No visible modifications. Windows up. The driver sat motionless in the front seat. Behind him, Diesel's barking turned frantic. Webb turned. Through the SUV's window, he could see his partner throwing himself against the compartment door. The dog's eyes were wild, desperate. Diesel! Enough! The barking stopped, but Diesel's body language screamed everything his voice couldn't. Ears back, tail tucked, every muscle coiled. Webb had never seen his partner like this, but protocol was protocol. He approached the Honda, one hand on his weapon. The driver's window lowered. A young man, maybe 25, pale and sweating despite the cold. Officer, my car just died. I pulled over. License and registration. The man's hands trembled as he reached for his wallet. I didn't do anything wrong. Webb's flashlight illuminated the interior. Clean. Too clean. The new car smell was wrong. This Honda was a 2015 model. Behind him, he heard metal scraping. Diesel was still fighting the compartment door. Step out of the vehicle, please. The suspect, Michael Torres, according to his license, stood shivering in the rain. 24 years old, clean record. Address in the city, 40 miles east. What brings you out here at 10:30 on a Tuesday? Webb asked. Visiting a friend. Car started making noises, so I pulled over. A friend in the industrial zone? He works night security at one of the warehouses. Webb's radio crackled. 7-King-2. Vehicle registration checks out. Registered to Michael Torres. No wants or warrants. Everything checked out. But Diesel was still going insane in the patrol SUV. I'm going to need to search your vehicle, Webb said. Torres nodded quickly. Yeah, sure. I've got nothing to hide. Webb returned to his SUV. Diesel had torn off a piece of the rubber weather stripping around the compartment door. Foam scattered across the back seat. What the hell, Diesel? The dog's eyes locked on Webb's. His whole body vibrated. Not with energy, with urgency. Webb opened the compartment. Diesel exploded out, but not toward the Honda. The dog ran 10 feet in the opposite direction, toward the empty field across the road. Then stopped. Sat. Stared back at Webb. The universal canine signal. Follow me. Diesel, come! The dog didn't move. Sergeant Morrison's SUV pulled up, lights flashing. He stepped out, rain dripping from his campaign hat. What have we got? Traffic stop. Vehicle checks clean. Driver's cooperative. Webb gestured toward Diesel. But my partner's acting strange. Morrison studied the dog. Strange how? He won't approach the vehicle. Keeps trying to run the other direction. Is he alerting? No, not his trained alert. This is different. Officer Ramirez arrived in a second patrol car. She walked the perimeter of the Honda, shining her flashlight through every window. Looks clean, Sarge. No visible contraband. Morrison turned to Webb. Your dog trained for explosives? Narcotics and chemical vapors. But he's not giving his alert signal. Then search the car. Let's clear this and get back to patrol. Webb grabbed Diesel's leash and pulled him toward the Honda. The dog resisted, digging his claws into the wet asphalt. His 70-pound frame became dead weight.
Diesel, heel! Webb's voice hardened. Now!
The dog took 3 reluctant steps forward. His legs shook. His head turned away from the car, nose pointed toward the field. Ramirez opened the Honda's trunk. Webb swept it with his flashlight. Spare tire, jack, emergency kit, all factory standard. Nothing, Ramirez confirmed. Check the interior, Morrison ordered. Webb opened the driver's door. The too clean smell hit him again. Chemical, like industrial cleaner or air freshener, strong enough to make his eyes water slightly. Diesel whined behind him. A sound Webb had only heard twice before. Once when the dog got stung by a wasp, once when he stepped on glass. Pain. Fear. Webb ran his flashlight over the seats, floor mats, center console. Nothing out of place. He popped the hood. Engine looked standard. No modifications. No hidden compartments. Webb. Morrison's patience was wearing thin. Your dog giving you anything useful? Webb looked at Diesel. The dog sat 20 feet away, refusing to come closer. His nose pointed upward, testing the air. Then he looked at Webb with an expression that almost seemed human. Pleading. Trust me, those eyes said. Please. But trust him to do what? There was nothing here. No, sir. Nothing. Then let's wrap this up. I've got 3 other units waiting for backup on actual calls. Torres shifted nervously. Can I go? I really didn't do anything. Webb's instinct screamed wrong. Everything about this felt wrong. But feelings weren't evidence. The car was clean. The driver was clean. And a K-9 officer who acted on hunches instead of facts was exactly what the review board didn't want. One more check, Webb said. He pulled a portable vapor detector from his belt. A handheld unit that could identify common chemicals. He waved it around the Honda's interior. Nothing. Around the trunk. Nothing. He started to lower it when Diesel barked. Once. Sharp. Webb looked. His partner was staring at the Honda's undercarriage. Check underneath, Webb told Ramirez. She crouched, shined her light beneath the car. Lot of road grime, some oil residue, normal wear and tear. She stood up. Clean. Morrison's radio erupted. All units, 1057 in progress. Armed robbery at the Quick Stop on Hastings Avenue. Shots fired. That's 8 blocks from here, Morrison said. Ramirez, you're with me. Webb, finish processing this stop and meet us there. Yes, sir. The 2 cars peeled out, sirens wailing. Webb was alone with Torres and a dog that wouldn't stop trying to communicate something Webb couldn't understand. Rain hammered the pavement. Webb stood between his SUV and the Honda, watching Diesel circle the scene. The dog moved in a wide arc, never getting closer than 15 feet to Torres's car. Webb's radio crackled with updates from the robbery scene. Chaos. Shots fired. Officer down. Officer down. Every instinct told Webb to drive to Hastings Avenue, be with his brothers and sisters in blue. Instead, he was stuck on a traffic stop with a clean vehicle and a malfunctioning canine. Am I free to go? Torres asked again. Water dripped from his hair. Webb wanted to say yes, should say yes. But something in Torres's voice, too eager, too hopeful, made him hesitate. Walk me through your evening again. You left the city at what time? Around 9. To visit a friend in the industrial zone. What's his name? Torres blinked. Danny Morris. Which warehouse does Danny work at? I don't remember the name. One of the big ones on the north side. Webb pulled out his phone, pretended to check something. Funny. I patrol this area twice a week. There's no active night security in any of those warehouses. They're all condemned. Torres's face paled. Maybe I got the area wrong. Maybe it's... Step over here, please. Webb positioned Torres against the patrol SUV. Hands on the hood. You can't do this. I haven't done anything. You lied about your destination. That gives me probable cause to detain you. Webb patted Torres down. Nothing. No weapons, no drugs, no contraband. Just a wallet, keys, and a cell phone. Diesel barked again. But this time, the dog wasn't looking at the Honda. He was staring down the road toward the industrial complex. His body oriented northeast, nose working the air. What now? The dog ran 20 feet toward the main road. Saturday alert position. Webb's mind spun. There was something else. Something Diesel was still trying to show him. Morrison's voice crackled. 7 King 2, what's your status? We need every available unit at Hastings. Still processing the traffic stop, dispatch. How long? Webb looked at Torres, looked at Diesel, looked at the clean Honda that his gut said was dirty somehow. 5 minutes. Make it 3. Morrison's voice cut in. Webb, if that stop is clean, cut him loose. We need you here. Webb's finger hovered over the radio button. This was the moment. Let Torres go, help his team, be where he was needed. Or trust a dog who was acting like he'd never seen a routine traffic stop before. He made the wrong choice. Torres, you're free to go. Keep your car maintained and drive safe. Relief flooded Torres's face. Thank you, officer. Thank you. Torres practically ran to his Honda. The engine started on the first try. Interesting, for a car that had supposedly died on the side of the road. The Honda pulled away, taillights disappearing into the rain. Diesel let out a sound Webb had never heard from him. Not a bark or a whine. A howl. Long and mournful. Come on, boy. We're done here. Webb loaded Diesel back into the compartment. The dog went willingly now, but his body language was different. Defeated. His head hung low. Webb started the SUV and headed toward Hastings Avenue. But Diesel barked again. And again. And again. Each bark said the same thing. Wrong. 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 Diesel, enough! The barking stopped. In the rearview mirror, Webb saw his partner curl into a ball, nose tucked under his paw, giving up. Webb's phone buzzed. A text from Morrison. Officers stable. Suspects fled north on foot. Need Diesel for tracking. Webb pressed the accelerator. Finally, something his partner could do right. They arrived at the quick stop 8 minutes later. 3 patrol cars, an ambulance, a growing crowd of civilians behind police tape. Officer Patterson, the one who'd called in sick earlier, sat on the curb with a shoulder wound, medics treating him. "Patterson?" Webb jogged over. "Thought you were sick." "Stopped for coffee on the way home. Wrong place, wrong time." Patterson grimaced as the medic pressed gauze to his shoulder. 2 suspects, both armed. They headed toward the auto shop on Hanover Street. Morrison appeared. "Webb, get Diesel on their trail. We've got a perimeter, but they're slipping through." Webb opened Diesel's compartment. The dog stepped out, but his movements were slow, reluctant. "Come on, boy. You've got work to do." He led Diesel to the quick-stop entrance, where the suspects had fled. Fresh boot prints in the mud led toward an alley. "Track!" Webb commanded, giving Diesel's search signal. The dog sniffed the ground. Once, twice, then sat down. Sat. "Diesel, track, now!" The dog looked at Webb with those same pleading eyes from before. Morrison's voice boomed. "Webb, what's the holdup?" He's not tracking." "What do you mean he's not tracking? That's his job." "I know, sir, but is your dog broken?" The words hung in the air. Around them, 6 other officers watched, judged. Webb felt his career crumbling. "Give me a minute." Webb knelt beside Diesel, speaking low. "Come on, partner. What's wrong with you tonight?" Diesel's nose pointed back the way they'd come, toward Route 34, toward the industrial complex, toward where they'd let Torres drive away. "Forget about that traffic stop. We have actual suspects to catch." But Diesel wouldn't budge. He sat facing Route 34, tail tucked, body rigid. Morrison grabbed Webb's shoulder. "Pull your dog. We'll use Ramirez's tracking skills the old-fashioned way." Webb's face burned. "Sir, if I could just—" "That's an order, officer. Your canine's a liability tonight. Take him back to the kennel and meet us at the perimeter." The other officers dispersed, leaving Webb alone with his disgraced partner. Webb sat in his SUV, engine idling, hands gripping the steering wheel. Rain pounded the windshield. Diesel whined from the back compartment. His radio crackled with updates. The robbery suspects were still at large. Every unit was searching. And Webb's canine, the dog that had never failed him, had just humiliated him in front of the entire shift. Webb's phone rang. His ex-wife. "Not now, Sarah. Just calling to remind you about Saturday. Mia's counting on you." "I'll be there." "You always say that." A pause. "Are you okay? You sound stressed." Webb watched rain stream down the windshield. "Rough night." "The job or the dog?" "Both." "Marcus, I know you love Diesel, but don't let pride cloud your judgment. If something's wrong with him, nothing's wrong with him." The words came out harder than he intended. "He's just, I don't know." "Then figure it out, before you lose something you can't get back." She hung up. Webb twisted in his seat, looking back at Diesel. The dog's eyes were fixed on him, waiting. "What are you trying to tell me?" Webb's mind replayed the traffic stop. Torres's nervousness, the too clean car, the chemical smell, Diesel's terror, the dog trying to lead him away, toward the field, the refusal to approach the vehicle, the Honda starting perfectly after Torres claimed it had died, and that sound, the howl, when Webb let Torres drive away. Webb pulled out his phone and called dispatch. "Sarah, I need you to run a deeper check on a Michael Torres. License number." He read it off from his notes. See if there's anything we might have missed. Give me a minute. Webb waited. Diesel pressed his nose against the metal grate, watching his handler with an intensity that made Webb's chest tight. The radio crackled. Webb, Torres has a brother, David Torres. David's got a record. Multiple arrests for manufacturing methamphetamine. Last known address is... She paused. A property on Route 34, near the industrial complex. Warehouse on Riverside Avenue. Webb's blood went cold. Send me the exact address. Webb, what's this about? You cleared that stop. Just send it. His phone pinged. 2847 Riverside Avenue. Half a mile from where he'd pulled Torres over. Webb's hands started shaking. The pieces fell into place. Torres wasn't visiting a friend. He was visiting his brother. At a meth lab. And whatever was in that Honda... Diesel barked. Sharp. Urgent. Webb made his decision. He grabbed his radio. Morrison, this is Webb. I need to check something at the industrial complex. It might be connected to the traffic stop. Negative, Webb. I need you at the robbery perimeter. Sir, I think the driver I pulled over might be involved in something bigger. His brother operates a meth lab in one of those warehouses. Then call the narcotics division in the morning. Right now, I need every unit hunting 2 armed suspects. But that's a direct order, Officer Webb. Perimeter. Now. Webb stared at his radio, then at Diesel. The dog's entire body vibrated with tension. Morrison's voice. Webb, acknowledge. This was it. Follow orders, abandon the hunch, keep his career safe. Or trust a dog who'd been trying to tell him something for the last hour. Webb pressed the radio. Copy that, Sergeant. He pulled the SUV onto Route 34, but instead of heading to the robbery perimeter, he turned west, toward Riverside Avenue. Diesel's tail started wagging. Webb's radio exploded. Webb, what's your location? GPS shows you heading away from the perimeter. Webb turned the radio volume down, not off, just quieter. His career was over. He knew it. But Diesel had never steered him wrong before. Never. And if Webb was right, if Torres was transporting something from that lab, they just let a mobile meth lab drive away. The industrial complex loomed ahead. Broken streetlights, boarded windows, graffiti-covered walls. Riverside Avenue split off to the right, a narrow road that dead-ended at 3 massive warehouses. 2847 was the middle one. Webb killed his lights and pulled into the shadows 100 yards from the building. Through the rain, he could make out a faint glow from inside the warehouse. Someone was home. The silver Honda Civic sat parked by a loading dock. Webb's heart hammered. Okay, boy, you were right. Now what? He opened Diesel's compartment. The dog leaped out and immediately ran toward the warehouse. Not charging, moving low and careful. A hunting stance. Then Diesel stopped. 50 feet from the building. He sat down and looked back at Webb. The alert. Webb's hands went to his weapon. What do you smell, boy? Diesel's nose pointed upward, testing the air. And suddenly, Webb smelled it too. Faint, chemical, like ammonia and rotten eggs and something else, something that made his sinuses burn. Anhydrous ammonia, acetone, ether, meth precursors. Webb grabbed his radio. Dispatch, this is 7 King 2. I need backup and a hazmat team at 2847 Riverside Avenue. Suspected meth lab, active operation. Static. Then, 7 King 2, confirm your location. Sergeant Morrison. The warehouse exploded. The shockwave hit Webb like a physical punch. He threw himself behind his SUV as debris rained down. Wood, metal, glass. The warehouse's roof collapsed inward. Flames punched through broken windows, turning the rain orange. Diesel yelped. "Diesel!" The dog was already running back toward Webb, ears pinned against the noise. Webb grabbed him, checking for injuries. Singed fur on his back, but otherwise okay. Webb's radio screamed with voices. "What was that?" "Explosion on Riverside. All units respond." Morrison's voice cut through. "Webb, was that you?" "Warehouse explosion at 2847 Riverside. I'm on scene. The Honda from my traffic stop is here." "Jesus Christ, are you hurt?" "Negative, but we need fire and hazmat. This is a meth lab." "Stay back. Don't engage. Units en route." Webb grabbed his flashlight and approached the burning warehouse, Diesel at his side. Heat rolled off the flames in waves. Through a shattered loading dock door, he could see industrial equipment, tables, propane tanks, chemical drums, and 2 bodies. No, not bodies. People. Moving. "Police, come out with your hands up." A figure stumbled through the smoke. David Torres, older brother of Michael. Burns covered his arms. "Help! My brother, he's still inside." Webb called it in. 1 victim outside, 1 trapped inside. Heavy smoke and chemical fire. But Diesel wasn't looking at the warehouse anymore. The dog faced the Honda Civic, which sat untouched by the explosion. His hackles rose. A low growl built in his chest. "What is it, boy?" Webb approached the car. The driver's door hung open. Michael had abandoned it when he ran into the warehouse. Diesel growled louder. Warning. Webb looked inside. Clean interior, nothing visible. He popped the trunk. Empty. But Diesel's behavior said otherwise. The dog backed away from the car, showing the same fear response he'd shown during the traffic stop. Then Webb noticed the Honda's position. It wasn't parked. It was staged. Positioned with the trunk facing away from the warehouse. Ready for a quick load and exit. He grabbed his vapor detector again and waved it over the trunk. The reading spiked. High concentration of volatile organic compounds. But not meth precursors. Something else. Webb's mind raced. Torres leaves the lab in a clean car. Gets pulled over. Acts nervous, but the car checks clean. Diesel freaks out. Torres drives back to the lab. Minutes later, explosion. The car wasn't carrying finished product, it was... Sirens wailed in the distance. Fire trucks, ambulances, the cavalry arriving too late. Webb circled the Honda, looking for anything he'd missed. Then he saw it. Near the rear axle. A small metal panel, slightly misaligned. An access point to a hidden compartment. He crouched down, shining his flashlight underneath. There, a custom-built hollow space above the fuel tank. Big enough for a small payload. Big enough for a bomb. Webb's blood turned to ice. "Dispatch, I need the bomb squad. Now." "Say again, 7-King-2? "The Honda has a hidden compartment. I think it's rigged." Diesel barked 3 times, sharp, insistent. But he wasn't looking at the Honda anymore. He was staring down Riverside Avenue, the way they'd come. "What now?" The dog ran 20 feet toward the main road, sat, alert position. Webb's mind spun. There was something else, something Diesel was still trying to show him. Morrison's voice crackled. "Webb, evacuate the area. The fire department says that warehouse could have a secondary explosion from stored chemicals." "Copy. But Sarge, Diesel's alerting to something else. Not the warehouse, not the Honda, something..." Then Webb remembered. The traffic stop. Diesel trying to lead him across the road, into the empty field, away from Torres and his car. What was in that field? Webb ran to his SUV, grabbed a map of the area. His finger traced Route 34. The field across from where he'd stopped Torres was marked as Private Property, Riverside Industrial Water Treatment Facility. Water treatment. For the entire industrial complex. Webb's hands shook as he pulled up county records on his phone. The facility supplied water to 6 other warehouses in the area, including 2 that were still active, including one that housed a printing company with 47 employees, who worked the night shift. Webb's radio. Dispatch, I need to know if the Riverside Water Treatment Facility is active. Stand by. Diesel barked again, more urgent. 7 King 2, that facility was decommissioned in 2019. Why? Because Torres had access to it. And if he was running a mobile meth lab, Webb's voice caught. He needed to dump the toxic waste somewhere. Webb, slow down, what are you saying? Diesel wasn't alerting to the car. He was alerting to what Torres had already dumped, in the old water treatment facility, which is connected to... Webb pulled up a map on his phone. His worst fear confirmed. The decommissioned facility still fed into the underground pipes, which connected to the active warehouses, which meant 47 people were drinking water contaminated with meth production waste. For how long? Webb grabbed his radio. We need to evacuate every active building connected to the Riverside water system. Now. But Diesel was still barking, still insisting there was more. Webb ran to where Diesel sat. The dog's nose pointed at a storm drain 50 feet from the burning warehouse. A storm drain that fed directly into Riverside Creek, which fed the city's secondary water reservoir, which supplied drinking water to 12,000 homes. The real threat wasn't the meth lab, it was the contamination. Webb's mind flashed back through the entire night. Every moment Diesel had tried to warn him. At the training facility, Diesel's nose flaring toward the exit. He'd already smelled the contamination plume from 6 miles away. In the patrol SUV, Diesel standing, breathing controlled, sampling the air, getting closer to the source. At the traffic stop, Diesel backing away from Torres's car. Not because of what was in the car, but because Torres smelled like the chemicals. His clothes, his skin, saturated from dumping waste. The dog trying to lead Webb to the field, to the water treatment facility, to the source. But Webb had pulled him back. Diesel's desperate howl when Torres drove away, because the handler had missed it, had let the contaminator escape, had failed to understand. At the robbery scene, Diesel refusing to track, because the real emergency wasn't the quick stop. It was here. It had always been here. Every strange behavior, every disobedient moment, Diesel had been screaming the truth. The chemical smell in Torres's car wasn't air freshener. It was residue. He'd been making runs for days, dumping waste, poisoning the water supply. The Honda hadn't died on the side of the road. Torres had pulled over near the treatment facility to make another dump before someone noticed the pattern. And Diesel, with his specialized vapor detection training, had smelled it from miles away, had detected the airborne contamination at concentrations no human could perceive, had tried everything in his power to make Webb understand. But Webb had followed protocol instead of instinct. Webb grabbed his radio, his voice steady despite the terror flooding his system. This is Officer Webb. We have a mass contamination event. The decommissioned Riverside Water Treatment Facility has been used to dump meth production waste. It's entering the active water system. I need the water department to shut down all lines connected to Riverside Creek immediately. And we need to issue a do not drink order for the entire Southeast District. Webb, are you certain? He looked at Diesel, the dog who'd never been wrong, who'd risked his relationship with his handler to do his job, who'd refused commands because following them would have killed people. I'm certain. Morrison's voice. Initiating emergency protocols. Water department notified. Health department en route. The bomb squad arrived 15 minutes later. They found the Honda's hidden compartment exactly where Webb described it. But instead of explosives, they found chemical residue. Drums designed to transport toxic waste. Empty now. All of it dumped. The hazmat team entered the old treatment facility wearing full protective gear. They emerged 30 minutes later with readings that made the lead technician pale. "Officer Webb, you need to see this." Inside the facility, drums upon drums of toxic waste. Methanol, acetone, benzene, toluene, heavy metals. All of it leaking into the underground water system. "How long has this been going on?" Webb asked. "Based on the accumulation, at least 3 months, maybe longer." 3 months of contamination, 12,000 homes, 47 workers in the active warehouses, the printing company, the machine shop, the distribution center. The hazmat tech pointed to a chart. "These contamination levels, if this had gone another week, we'd be looking at mass casualties, organ failure, neurological damage. This isn't just pollution. This is poisoning." "How many people?" "Conservative estimate? If we hadn't caught this tonight, we're talking about 50 to 70 deaths within the next month, hundreds more with permanent damage." Diesel sat beside Webb, calm now. His job was done. Webb knelt beside his partner, hands shaking. "You tried to tell me, the whole time." The dog licked his handler's face. Morrison appeared in the doorway. "The water department shut down the lines. They're issuing emergency notifications now. The health department is setting up testing sites." He looked at Webb. "How the hell did you figure this out?" "I didn't. Diesel did." "Your dog?" "My dog." Webb stood, one hand on Diesel's head. At the traffic stop, he wasn't malfunctioning. He was doing exactly what we trained him to do: detect dangerous chemical vapors. I was just too stupid to listen. Morrison studied Webb for a long moment. "You disobeyed a direct order." "Yes, sir." "Abandoned your post during an active manhunt." "Yes, sir." "Put your career on the line for a hunch." Webb met Morrison's eyes. "For my partner, sir. I put my career on the line for my partner." Morrison's stern expression cracked. "The fire department found Michael Torres. He's alive. Badly burned, but alive. His brother David is talking. They've been dumping waste here for 4 months, selling the finished meth in the city. When you pulled Michael over tonight, he'd just finished a dump. That's why the car was clean. He'd already emptied it." "And the explosion?" "David was cleaning equipment, spark from a grinder. The whole operation went up." Webb nodded. "What about the robbery suspects?" "Caught them an hour ago. K-9 unit from the county tracked them down." Morrison's expression softened. "But that's not the story that's going to make the news tomorrow." Diesel barked once. Not urgent. Satisfied. The sun rose over Riverside Avenue at 6:47 a.m. The warehouse smoldered, fire crews still dampening hotspots. News vans lined the street, cameras capturing the scene. Webb sat on the hood of his SUV, Diesel beside him. The dog finally relaxed, tongue lolling, tail wagging gently. A health department official approached. "Officer Webb, I'm Dr. Sarah Martinez. I need you to understand what your partner did tonight." She showed him a tablet with charts and graphs. "We've tested the water in 47 homes so far. Every single one shows contamination levels that would have caused acute poisoning within days. Your dog detected this while it was still airborne, in concentrations measuring parts per billion. How is that possible?" German Shepherds have 225 million scent receptors. You have 5 million. But your Diesel has been specifically trained for vapor detection. He can smell things that our best equipment struggles to identify. She looked at the dog with something approaching reverence. He saved a minimum of 63 lives tonight. That's our conservative count. The actual number could be in the hundreds when we account for secondary exposure. 63 lives. Webb's phone buzzed. His daughter. "Dad, are you okay? I saw the news." He smiled. "I'm fine. Diesel's a hero. And I'll be at your game Saturday. Promise." Morrison walked over, holding 2 coffee cups. He handed one to Webb. "The chief called. He wants to see you in his office Monday morning." Webb's stomach sank. "To fire me?" "To promote you." Morrison grinned. "And to apologize for ever questioning the K-9 program's budget. The mayor's already drafting a press release. Diesel's getting a commendation. You're getting bumped to K-9 unit supervisor." "Sir, I don't—" "You disobeyed orders because you trusted your partner. That's not insubordination. That's good police work." Morrison scratched Diesel's ears. "This guy's going to be famous. Every K-9 handler in the state is going to want to know his training protocols." Officer Ramirez jogged over, phone in hand. "Webb, the news wants an interview. National news, CNN, Fox, all of them." Webb looked at Diesel. "They want to interview the dog, not me." "Actually, they want both. The story's already trending. K-9 saves thousands after handler ignored commands. You're a meme." "Great." A hazmat technician emerged from the treatment facility. "We've secured all the waste. EPA's taking over from here. But Officer Webb, your dog's alert probably prevented the worst environmental disaster this county's ever seen. That waste was 3 days from reaching the main reservoir." 3 days. If Webb had followed protocol, if he'd kept Diesel in the car, if he'd let Torres drive away without investigating. He didn't want to think about it. At 9:30 a.m., Webb finally drove back to the station. Diesel slept in his compartment, exhausted. The department greeted them with applause. Someone had already made a banner. "Diesel, Hero K-9." Webb's phone rang. His ex-wife. "I saw the news," Sarah said. Her voice was warm. "You and Diesel saved all those people." "He saved them. I almost got them killed." "But you didn't. When it mattered, you trusted him." A pause. "Maybe there's hope for you after all." Sarah. "See you at Mia's game Saturday. She'll want Diesel there too." "We'll be there." That night, Webb took Diesel home instead of the kennel. The dog sprawled on the couch, hogging 3 cushions. Webb sat beside him, scratching behind his ears. "I'm sorry I didn't listen," Webb said quietly. "You were doing your job. I was just too proud to see it." Diesel's tail thumped against the couch. "Tomorrow, we start fresh. New protocol. When you alert, I listen. No questions asked. Deal?" The dog licked his hand. Webb's phone buzzed with notifications, media requests, interview offers, a call from the governor's office, but he silenced it all. Tonight was about Diesel. The dog who'd saved 63 lives. The dog who'd risked everything to do his job. The dog who'd never given up on his handler, even when his handler had given up on him. Where they are now. Officer Marcus Webb was promoted to K-9 Unit Supervisor 3 weeks after the Riverside incident. He oversees 7 K-9 teams across the county. He still patrols with Diesel twice a week because some partnerships can't be replicated. Diesel received the Medal of Valor from the National Police Dog Foundation. He's certified in vapor detection, narcotics, and search and rescue. In the 2 years since Riverside, he's assisted in 14 major cases. His training protocols are now used by K9 units in 17 states. Michael and David Torres were convicted of manufacturing methamphetamine and 47 counts of reckless endangerment. They're serving 20-year sentences. The Riverside water contamination affected 12,847 residents. Thanks to early detection, only 6 people required medical treatment. All recovered fully. The treatment facility was permanently sealed, and the county implemented new monitoring systems for all water sources. Canine units across the United States save an average of 3,200 lives annually. These dogs detect explosives, narcotics, accelerants, human remains, and chemical threats that endanger communities. Their noses are 10,000 to 100,000 times more sensitive than human noses. Vapor detection dogs like Diesel are rare. Fewer than 200 exist nationwide. They're trained to identify airborne chemicals at concentrations measured in parts per trillion. That's equivalent to detecting 1 drop of liquid in 20 Olympic swimming pools. Handler trust is the most critical component of canine work. When a dog alerts, they're communicating something their handler cannot perceive. The best canine teams operate on absolute faith. In an interview 6 months after the incident, Marcus Webb was asked what he learned that night on Route 34. "I learned that sometimes being a good officer means breaking the rules. Not because you're reckless, but because you trust your partner more than protocol." Diesel wasn't disobeying commands. He was following a higher order, the one that says protect life at all costs. I was the one who needed training, not him. He paused, looking at Diesel asleep at his feet. People think canines are tools, equipment with fur, but they're not. They're officers, partners, heroes. And sometimes, they're the only ones who can see the truth when everyone else is blind. My job isn't to command Diesel. It's to listen to what he's trying to tell me. Because in the end, he's almost always right. 63 lives directly saved. 427 people prevented from serious injury. 12,847 residents protected from long-term health effects. One partnership forever changed. Webb never made it to Mia's soccer game that Saturday. He was in Washington, D.C. receiving an award. But he made the next one, and the one after that, with Diesel beside him. Because some promises are worth keeping, and some partners are worth trusting, even when, especially when, they refuse your commands. Have you ever witnessed a canine save lives? Share your stories in the comments below. Subscribe for more true stories of police canines who go beyond the call of duty. Next week, the search and rescue dog who found 5 missing children in a blizzard by disobeying every command. Remember, when a canine refuses to follow orders, they might be following a higher calling. Trust the nose, trust the dog, trust the bond.